as India is moving US to the backseat as India becomes the fastest growing country in last 5 years. In Geneva, India's air connectivity has grown the fastest in the last 5 years, and there is a strong strength and growth ahead in terms of domestic passenger numbers, though there are infrastructure challenges according to the global airlines body IATA, or the International Airport Transport Association. India is the fastest growing domestic aviation market in the world, and IATA's chief economist Brian Pearce said. The country registered double-digit growth in domestic aviation market for 50th consecutive month in October. An analysis by the International Airport Transport Association, or the IATA, showed that the air connectivity grew the fastest in 114% in the 5-year period from 2013 to 18. Many of the markets where connectivity has grown fastest, unsurprisingly, are in the Asia, India, China, and Indonesia, the grouping said in the presentation during the Global Media Day here in Geneva. As per the IATA, which is a grouping of around 290 airlines, connectivity is the extent to which a country is integrated into the global airport and transport network. In recent years, many foreign as well as the Indian carriers have commenced flight to and from various Indian cities. About domestic passenger growth, Pearce told that there is a strong growth ahead, but the challenges with infrastructure is that the airports are crowded. We needed more terminals and runway capacity. We have seen concessions for many airports leading to large rise in airport charges. On steps being taken in India to address the infrastructure issues, he said additionally capacity is being put in place and some very good modern airports being built, which is a real positive in 2005 to 2014. I think that the cost of using those airports is high. The peer said it is because the economic regulations have not been strong as we would have hoped, because the concession agreements were made with very large royalties. The lessons for the future is to provide good infrastructures because more is needed but at an affordable rate, he noted. IATA's director Hemant Mistry said the historical airport concessions have suffered from unduly long and arbitrary concession lengths. These can be for benefit of governments and the concessionary. We have seen many examples of very high concession fees where a large proportion of gross revenue of the airport is diverted to the government and not necessarily reinvested back into the aviation. According to him, there are also examples where concessions are negotiated with fixed pricing over the concession term, which risk a situation where the charges are not reflective of the service and infrastructure provided to the airlines and passengers. So what do you think of India pushing back US and China and becoming the fastest growing connectivity in airline services in the world? President Donald Trump alleged joke he could play a matchmaker for Prime Minister of India Mr. Narendra Modi after learning from aides that the 67-year-old Indian leader has long been estranged from his wife, according to a new report in Politico. The article detailed a long list of diplomatic faux pas that Trump has made with foreign leaders around the globe, including a lack of telephone etiquette, mispronunciations, and awkward meetings.
So we want fair trade deals. We want reciprocal trade deals. Scott Walker has a wonderful company called Harley Davidson in Wisconsin, right? Great. So when they send a motorcycle to India, as an example, they have to pay 100% tax, 100%. Now, the Prime Minister, who I think is a fantastic man, called me the other day. He said, we are lowering it to 50%. I said, okay, but so far we're getting nothing. So we get nothing, he gets 50, and they think we're doing, like they're doing us a favor. That's not a favor. And you know what I'm talking about. It's a great company.
Trump also displayed a lack of familiarity with South Asia, according to a report. Ahead of the meeting last year with Prime Minister Modi at the White House, Trump alert studied a map of South Asia and mispronounced Nepal as Nepal and referred to Bhutan as Bhutan, the Politico said, quoting two unnamed sources. The president seemed confused that the two countries which borders India even existed, said a new report. He didn't know what those were. He thought it was all part of India, a source told to Politico. Also, he was like, what is this stuff in between and these other countries? After Trump's staffers told the president that Prime Minister Modi would not bring his wife along to the meeting at the White House, Trump allegedly joked that, I think I can set him up with somebody else. The report said according to two people briefed on the meeting. White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders told Politico that the Trump has developed strong relationship with America's closest allies, which allow for a candid conversation.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Donald.
Well, Justin, it's been really great, and I appreciate, Justin has agreed to cut all tariffs and all trade barriers between Canada and the United States. So I'm very happy about that.
So I'd say NAFTA's in good shape.
But we are actually working on it. We are actually working on it. But our relationship is very good. We are actually working on cutting tariffs and making it all very fair for both countries.
Although India and the US relationship are basically sounded, things have been tense in recent months because of the clashes on the trade and the administration decision to cancel an important meetings of US Secretariats of Defense and State with their respective Indian counterparts. It is now scheduled for September 6, 2018. Prime Minister Modi has invited Trump to be the chief guest at the India's Republic Day military parade on 2019 January 26, but there is no word yet whether the president will accept. More or less, Trump of United States as a president won't come. So what do you think of the insults and the jokes about and mocking of Indian Prime Minister Modi by the President of US, Mr. Donald Trump? India's competitiveness in labor-intensive export sectors has been on a declining path in the last decade and needs significant structural reforms that need to be addressed, rating agency CRISIL said in a new report. The CRISIL analyzed the competitiveness of the labor-intensive export sectors, namely gems and jewelers, leather and leather products, and ready-made garments, which showed that these becomes less competitive over the last decade. It is disquieting that India's export growth is decelerating at a rate and a time when the global environment is becoming more conducive for trade. The reason is not currency strength, but the weakening competitiveness. This needs to be reversed if India has to be sustainable, self-employment generating exports to the growth. India's exports have fallen despite a favorable global trade environment. The International Monetary Fund or the IMF expects growth to rise to 3.6% in 2017 from 3.2% in 2016. Global merchandise trade is expected to grow stronger at 4.2%, boosting the trade intensity of the growth for the first time in 6 years. Yet, India's exports have not been able to take as advantages of the stronger trade, unlike many of its ancient peers like Vietnam, South Korea and Indonesia. While India's growth export is 9.5% in this fiscal year so far, and for Vietnam, South Korea and Indonesia it is very much higher at 23.8%, 18.4% and 17.18% respectively. CRISIL's analysis revealed that the competitiveness of these labor-intensive sectors was already on declining since 2006, which was further impacted by the demonetization last November and the implementation of GST last year, which was brought up by the current Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who didn't even know what to do with India's economy, which was going really well. Between 2006 and 2016, the competitiveness of the gems and the jewelry sector has declined from 6.38 points to 3.96 points. Leather and leather products from 3.12 to 1.79 points, and ready-made garments from 2.4 to 2.22 points according to CRISIL. The 2006 to 2016 decade saw RCA markedly diminish for 3 of these sectors, with demonetization and the GST impacting further. So while policy disruption have been the transitory, there are structural issues jogging India's export competitiveness, said Chrysler. India's current account deficit climbed to a 4th-year high of $14.3 billion in the first quarter of this fiscal year, or 2.4% of the gross domestic product or the GDP, mainly because the trade deficits ballooned to 4-year high of $41.7 billion compared to $19 billion in the corresponding quarter of fiscal 2017, as the export growth at 9.1%. Import growth was away faster at 34.6%. The high export growth, particularly in the labor-intensive sector, is vital to sustaining employment-generating growth, said Chrysler, which India is really lacking of unemployment growing so much faster, and Indian government are still stuck in the demonetization GST economy fall down. So what do you think of India's export competitiveness at the decade low? Will it grow any higher, or will the government of Narendra Modi will soon decline India's economy, nearly go by down? Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WEC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.